All right, my opponent's claim is that the legalization of euthanasia will positively impact the medical system. Her supporting claims are as follows. 1, euthanasia allows for patients to greater control their treatment. 2, euthanasia is economically beneficial overall. And 3, euthanasia provides a quick, painless way to die. Her first supporting claim, euthanasia allows the patient to greater control their treatment. She offers a quote from Warren from the International Journal of Cardiology pertaining specifically to euthanasia. "We all want a quick, painless death. No one wants to die by suffering slowly under immense pain and agony. Elderly people especially would like to control when they pass." So this is a nice excerpt, however there's no factual data. My opponent presents hypothetical stories with hypothetical hospitalized people. It's meant to trigger sympathy from the audience, which is nice, but it fails to deliver any real-life examples. She also fails to demonstrate that there's a lack of treatment for many of these patients and that they do in fact suffer. Allow me to present some information to back up her supporting claim. I don't know if you guys know of ALS, but that's one of the diseases that is very painful and it's also terminal, and there is no cure for it. According to the ALS Association, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, affects the nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. The progressive degeneration of the motor neurons that reach the brain to spinal cord to muscles through the body results in paralyzing of the body followed by death. So your muscles aren't going to be working and you're also not going to be able to breathe because your neurons aren't going to reach each other. Scientists are working hard to find cures for diseases such as this one. Unfortunately, there is no good news for people who are diagnosed with ALS and other terminal diseases such as Ebola, polio, Huntington's, and Parkinson's, etc., etc. Although morphine and other numbing drugs are offered to people to subside pain, many people simply do not want to live their lives hooked up to a machine where drugs are delivered to your body through a cord. It's very simple. According to McElprang, medical illness was a factor in half suicides of people over the age of 50. For people who have been immobilized because of their sickness, suicide is simply not an option. This is where euthanasia would be optimal. This allows patients to have control over their body, and that's what my opponent should have said in her first claim. Her second claim, euthanasia is economically beneficial overall. She quotes Flendenberg, saying that 10% of our lifetime medical expenses are used within the last few years of our life, and 28% of Medicare is used for treating illness for seniors. This could be dramatically reduced if we allow people the choice of euthanasia. My opponent declares that euthanasia will help alleviate the percentage, but expects the audience to make the connection between the how and the why by themselves. Allow me to help fill in the blanks for her. Terminally ill patients, especially in the last few months of their life, cannot contribute economically to our society simply because they're too sick. At that point in their life, they become more costly than beneficial to keep alive because of all the money that's being pumped in to their specific bed in the hospital. So that's what she's saying by it's economically beneficial. Her final claims says that euthanasia provides a quick and painless way to die. She provides evidence. The evidence is fine. Unfortunately, it does not line up with what her claim is. For instance, she offers evidence talking about information for those who support euthanasia and even those who have committed suicide resulting from a diagnosis. Also, she says that according to Ezekiel Emanuel, about 2/3 of oncology patients and the public found euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide acceptable for patients with unremitting pain. More than a quarter of oncology patients had serious thoughts about euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide, and nearly 12% discussed these interventions with physicians and others. This information is good, like I said, but given the information that she gave us, I would like to shift my opponent's final claim from her original, euthanasia provides a quick, painless way to die, to a different one, saying many patients suffering from terminal sicknesses have expressed interest in euthanasia. So to sum up, my opponent's claim is the legalization of euthanasia will positively impact our medical system. It would be more successful if she demonstrated more certainty in her argument, if she demonstrated stronger connections, and offered stronger evidence to help support her claims. Thank you.
All right. I think that we're getting less of a refutation here than we are a critique of the advocate's argument, especially, for instance, on that first point, when you give a better justification for why patients need control than the advocate does by presenting the example of Lou Gehrig's disease, which would justify giving patients the ability to terminate their life. So, in essence, you're saying, you know what, I'll be the second advocate on the same issue and I'll do a better job on that, but that's not a refutation. That's a resubstantiation of a point that hasn't even been refuted yet. So I think that that's problematic. On the second point, on the cost issue, you basically just summarize the issue again, and I think that you missed some of the key considerations here, and that is that if cost is the standard by which we're going to measure whether or not people should continue living, that's going to create a whole variety of complications for us in making other decisions that are often costly. For example, anybody who has a mental disability, anybody who has physical disabilities, I often represent a difficult financial burden to the families that are presented. But does that in fact then suggest that because there's a cost deficit here that we're justified in taking this particular action? There's a value component to this argument that I think that you and the advocate are missing on that point, and I think that that's problematic. And then on the last one, where you're talking about the quick and painless death, basically you're kind of reverting to the same position, which says that everybody would like to have this, they would prefer that. You use this evidence. Is that where the oncology evidence comes in again? Okay, yeah, you use the oncology evidence, and again, I think that that information sounds like it is supportive of the position that the advocates presented. So at the end, you kind of basically say, they only presented an argument that supports this, and you needed a better argument to support that, which is not the same thing, like I said, as a refutation. I think there are good arguments on the issue of whether or not patient control is. For example, a lot of patients don't want to be hooked up to a pain relief system. If pain is the problem, pain relief is an answer on that. That eliminates the need for assisted suicide or euthanasia and all those kinds of things. The argument that says somebody might not want that, well, that's a decision that they can make, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a decision that should justify taking a life. I think that like I said, whenever we talk about this, we're going to end up with value issues. If this becomes a topic for any of our debates, inevitably you're going to have to talk about some of those points.